I come from the province, and we rent a place somewhere near Krame, and it's in a high-rise building. When we moved last year, I still saw green. Now I see more than half of it being lost to buildings. So I wonder whether, one, the high-rise, how do we strike a balance between building vertically and then greening the metro? That's one of the questions, ma'am. Secondly, I'd like an operational definition of what informality means in the context of your presentation, because it says, I may not fully understand it, but it seems that, for example, when we refer to informality, are we only referring to informal settlers? There are studies that show that many of the impediments, in fact, 8 out of 10, in Metro Manila waterways are not the urban poor. Not. And this is these are scientific studies. They are formal settlements over lands of accretion that have been given permits by the local government. So technically, they have been formalized, but by history, they're actually also informal. So yun lang po, ma'am. Thank you.
For that question. The first question is, how do you strike a balance between vertical development and open green space? Let me clarify though that green print is not all about green trees and green open spaces, but it's all about a network system where we have less greenhouse gas emissions, more networked cities that are interconnected. And that goes with open parks and open systems and green buildings, etc., green roofs, etc. When we talk about green buildings, it's not just green roofs, but green everything in the system. So it will be a struggle. We understand that. MMDA as an authority is a coordinating body. I'll take this advantage. The difference between green print and all the master plans, 13 of them in Metro Manila, nobody even looks at it. But what we're trying to do is to start from bottom up already and get everybody contributing to the inputs, and hence we were ready to present a vision just to set a direction as to where we're going. Along with that is we are actually knocking on the doors of all the mayors just to get them to sign in here. That is very difficult. It takes us 3 months just to get appointments, just to make sure that when we get to a resolution, there's some sign-off somehow. That will drive, therefore, the democratic approach to some commitment, a moral commitment at that, for a sustainable setup for Metro Manila, short of saying, no more malls along EDSA, no more malls along Katipunan. We cannot just say, Mayor, bawal po yan. We cannot. We just have to say, why? Because there is a vision already. So it's got to be a balance that respects local government authority. We have to live with that. But here's the good thing. They're signing off. But the political undertones are going to start creeping in when we get into the one-year strategic planning session, where we are inviting elders, council of elders, and planners will be coming in just to put our minds and put our acts together, just to make sure this is the direction to go. There is the kind of balance that we'll try to do. We will probably not micromanage in every city, but we will get into catalytic, we'll identify key influencers. Here kasi is what we want to do. When we get into the signing off, we'll be able to identify maybe 3 or 4 big projects just to get into the NEDA on the public investment program, on infrastructure, connectivity, transport systems, because we do have a story by when that happens. Get NEDA to approve, get mayors to sign, we're ready to go. Everything else are the political undertones, which will happen. We have to really understand that's gonna happen because we do have our bosses. No? But it's better than nothing, no? Short of saying better than nothing. We just have to do it this way because all the other plans did not work very well. This is where informality came. There are master plans in the past. Nobody cared to look for it because the opportunities on retail land value is tempting enough to get into more monies into the system and more monies for development, quote unquote. So you are absolutely right. We are not talking about informal settlers. This city, unfortunately, as Mr. Paul Alcasarin would say, we are a city of informalities, even at private sector level, even at government level. We are doing double standards. And we allow spot zone approvals. And I hope we are not hurting anyone, but because that's the truth in so many ways. Kaya tuloy, everybody goes back to Metro Manila doesn't have, it comes from poor urban. The fragmentation came out because nga hindi naayos yung urban planning process right from the beginning. So we just have to come in, late as it is, we just have to come in and retrofit the entire city all over again if that's what it takes. And I would just like to plug in my other 3 missing slides is tourism. Tourism is one opportunity, and high-end services, doctors, hospitals, dentistry. Those are the things that are very important to us on high value. Hindi lang tayo call center, but we are actually a rich pool of talents and service-oriented people, more fun in the Philippines. We're talking about the Chinas and the Singapores are now coming in with gaming. They actually spend so much money, and there's so much money all over Europe and US. Why can't we get a slice of it? That's what we're trying to say. So we need to develop more conventions, and then make our place very safe to get into, walkables, etc. So claiming high value services, yon. So yun lang ang plug ko. Maraming salamat. I just don't want to miss that out, just to get the momentum going. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all of you. I've been seeing developments that city government is doing, developers are doing. They come up with multi-use communities. You don't have to go far. Your office is there, you live in that vicinity, commercial is there. Or probably if they're, just like what was presented earlier, you go to the suburbs, but you have transportation that will bring you there. But what I'm seeing really is that we all focus on those who are able to walk, those who are able to see, those who are able to hear. But we're not looking into the needs of persons with disabilities, more so also for persons, the elder persons, the older persons that they call now. So when we start looking into this, it's very important that we consolidate this into inclusion, into inclusive society. Sometimes we only look at persons with disabilities as those who have ambulatory difficulty. But that's not the whole sector of persons with disabilities. We have the visually impaired. We have those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We have those with hearing impairments and those with rare diseases. We're looking at a population wherein the older persons are growing, increasing, and where do they go? So they have to move. They have to continue to be independently, economically independent. And this is the things that we should also look into. You talk about tourism. You know, there is this award that I've been chairing. It's called the Apolinario Mabini Award. I've been chairing that for the past 3 awards, 2005, 2008, 2011. I'm also doing it again this 2013. You know, we've seen those awardees were only basically a lot of the malls. Why malls? Because everything is there in the mall. So where can they go? It's only the malls. Look at the office buildings, not all of the office buildings. You know, we tried to come up, look into tourism, establishments. We've not seen one. There was one awarded, I think it was the Tagaytay. But when I did a Makati Tourist Establishment Award in Makati, 2009, 2010, not even one of the big hotels passed in the standards of the law of Batas Pambansa 344. Right now, currently, I'm chairing the amendment of the law. So what we have right now is very minimum to what will come out in the next 2 years. So it's all focused on the ambulatory, but you will have more for the visually impaired and for all other sectors of disabilities. So it's important now that we integrate all of this, our plannings or our concepts, that we also consider those persons with disabilities, older persons, that they also be included in our society. Thank you.
We have one last question over here.
My question is for Ninia. I was very happy to also be part of the reimagining of Metro Manila through your presentation. But what I'd like to what I'd like to know is whether the People Power Institute is also looking for ways to institutionalize civic participation into processes like urban planning, transport planning, that have traditionally and continue to be quite an exercise that is, if I were an ordinary citizen, how I figure in those processes. And I look now at communities that are becoming more aware. I come from Cebu City, and in Cebu City, we know that in the previous months, there was a bit of an uproar from the communities themselves because of the differences in the priorities of some of their leaders, their political leaders, versus the values of the community. The community valued preserving historical sites along roadways, and they valued aesthetic versus the seemingly urgent need for fixing traffic congestion through the building of more and more flyovers. So what I'd like to see is how can we really institutionalize civic participation into these processes so that people do not feel that they are excluded.
Ma'am, thank you very much for that question. Well, I would like to think that our participation here is really a first step. I think this is the third or the fourth forum that I've attended for inclusive mobility, and it really can get over your head kasi, di ba, you're a layman among experts, but I think the first step is really to be included in activities like this. That's why we'd like to thank Ateneo School of Government and the IBOP for really giving us an opportunity. But on the local level, it's also really important for people sana to get engaged in their barangays, kasi sometimes it's as simple as being involved in barangays through the barangay ordinances, or when, at the LGU level. So, unfortunately, we're not yet at that level of being able to institutionalize, but we're hoping that the lessons we're learning here and that very good point you raised will point us to the right direction. So if we're always open to collaborating. We also see our role in the People Power Institute as connecting people, connecting different sectors. So if there are opportunities for us to really push for people participation and involvement in urban planning issues, we will definitely take them on, and we'd like to be in dialogue with more decision makers and also patch up people from the local governments who can share their own stories of success in civic participation in urban planning, and be able to share these stories and see where we can replicate.